Hello, people. I am coming at you from Irvine. I am not going to be doing a live show this weekend, so I figured I would do a question and answer thing canned so that I can get something out so that you guys have stuff to look at while I'm out on tour. It has been raining. I don't know if you can, see the outside. Wow, no, that's really bright. Hello. It's been raining. It's been crazy go nuts, but it's been good. So I'm going to answer some questions. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, Psychology Today will pop up, click on that. It will have all the therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Okay, let me go find those questions. All right. I was in an abusive relationship when I was 14 years old, now 25. I have borderline personality disorder, and I am currently in a loving relationship, but I can't stop feeling disgusted by sex. When does this ever end? It does, but you have to work on it. So why is there a feeling of disgust with sex? So is it because of the abusive relationship with this person? Is there something that happened in your childhood? You're going to have to tease it out and figure out what's going on and what is your feelings about it? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are the thoughts that you have when you are engaging in a sexual act? So if there is abuse or neglect or molestation in the past, we will often have thoughts like that. So it's really important that if you're not with a DBT therapist, get with a good DBT therapist. And this is an important issue because our sexuality is ours, and when it's been violated by an abuser, it destroys a part of who we are, and we have to get that back. So will it ever go away? Yeah, but you've got to work on it. You've got to get with a good therapist and figure out why. Why am I having these thoughts? Why am I having these feelings? What's going on? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I telling myself about the sexual act? What am I telling myself about my sexuality? So you've got to figure out why that's happening. So that would be my suggestion. Get with a good DBT therapist and focus on that. And the other thing you want to do is journal. Journal. Journal stuff out. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Why are you thinking it? Why are you feeling it? Where did this come from? How did these thoughts start, automatically popping up? When did this happen? So that's what you want to do. All right. You have often said you need to feel it to heal it, but I have BPD and tend to self-harm a lot. I'm scared of feeling. That's normal. That's normal. Oh, sweetie, that's normal. How do I feel and not self-harm? You need to be with a good therapist. You do. You just need to be with a good DBT therapist. So DBT is mindfulness, basically. And it helps us emotionally regulate. So the thing about borderline personality disorder, the self-harming part, so the quiet ones, the self-harming ones, we internalize. And we take things out on ourselves as opposed to putting it where it needs to belong. So if there was abuse, trauma, neglect, instead of going, that person was the abuser, that person neglected me, that person did this to me, it's not me, it's them. Instead, what we do is we internalize it and we go, oh my God, it's me. I'm a horrible, awful, terrible person. And, why am I having these thoughts? I shouldn't be having these thoughts. And we make ourselves wrong and we put ourselves down and, all sorts of stuff. So get with a good DBT therapist. Yes, emotions are scary. They are. And when no one's ever shown us how to process an emotion, we internalize it, we take it out on ourselves, and we self-harm because it's safer that way in our minds. But in reality, it's actually safer to have the emotion, to feel the emotion, to be able to go, okay, it's this person, not me, work on our self-esteem and move forward. Stop going away here. So yes, the feelings are scary. Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to self-harm. So it's going to be a combination of working with a DBT therapist, working through the emotions, being able to emotionally regulate, and also working on the original trauma. How did you get BPD? What was the original trauma? What happened? Were you abused, neglected, harmed in any way, shape, or form? What caused the BPD? It's always rooted in trauma, I can guarantee it. So you want to work on two prongs. So you want to work on that, and you also want to work on self-esteem. Self-esteem. People who love themselves do not harm themselves. Do not, because you recognize your value. So I would suggest strongly the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. I love that workbook. It's a great workbook. There's also the Borderline Survival Guide by Chapman and Gratz. There's also if you're going to work on trauma, see PTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Now, caveat, that is going to trigger you. So be prepared, and I would get with a therapist to work on that one so that you don't self-harm, so that when these emotions, these feelings come up, you have an outlet for them instead of cutting, okay? Or cutting, because we tend to cut in places that we can't see, other people can't see. So, one way to deal with the emotions is write it out. Get it out of your head. Get it onto paper or, computer. It's like, just get it out and then burn it. Let it go, if it needs to be let gone of. Wait, no, that's the wrong word, but you know what I'm saying. If it needs to be let go, let go. Deal breakers don't let go of. Deal breakers you want to write down and post somewhere where you can see them so that if anyone violates any of those deal breakers, you can be like, done. So there is that. So you need tools for how to cope with emotions. And I would strongly suggest getting with a DBT therapist to help you cope with those emotions, to emotionally regulate. And journaling, get it out of your head, get it onto paper. If it needs to be burnt, burn it. It helps your brain start letting things go. And it also helps you process, because now it's out of your head. It's not just and now it's onto paper, and you can go back and reread it and go, why am I feeling that way? Why did I think that? What's happening? Where did this come from? Where did I learn this? How did this happen? You want to start processing. So super gentle with you, sweetie, super gentle with you. So one thing to keep you from cutting is the journaling. Find a different outlet so that you're not self-harming. Find something else you can do. So worry stones are great. Ice instead of cutting, that kind of things. The less self-harm. Please don't cut on yourself. Please, 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 please don't cut on yourself. You are precious. And you are worthy, and you can emotionally regulate if you do the work. So find a good DBT therapist and start working on it, and start journaling. It's going to help give you some clarity as to why is this happening? Why am I having these thoughts? Why am I having these feelings? Why am I afraid of emotions? Usually what ends up happening is that some caregiver out there teaches us to be afraid. So if we express emotion and they don't allow us to have emotion, we learn very quickly to go inside. So this is why journaling is really super important. So I hope that answered your question. So yes, you can feel and not self-harm. It does take work, and it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight, you becoming a cutter. It's not going to happen overnight, you becoming not a cutter. Does that make sense? So you've got to be super patient with yourself, super gentle, take your time, get with a good therapist. So there's that. I hope that answered that question. Okay. Oh, what's the next one? I was abused by quite a few people over 35 years. I'm about 2 years into recovery from abuse. Good job. How long does it take to get up to a point of healing? Oh, babe, you're already in the process. You're already in the process. When is now? I can't tell you. Everybody's different. So, for some people, it doesn't take very long. Other people, it takes years. It just depends on what the abuse was, what you're doing, what you're telling yourself about the abuse, what you're telling yourself about your healing process. It's a journey, guys. It's not a destination. I can't explain that better. It's just that healing is a journey. It's a self-discovery journey. And do we all have stuff to work on? You bet. Do I have stuff to work on? Yeah. Do I? Yeah, I do. There's never this point where it's like, oh, I am a guru, on top of the mountain and I know everything. No, I don't. It's like, no, there's stuff I'm still working on. So, it's not a destination. It's a journey. And have we been broken in the past? You bet. Are we mending? Yeah, we are. How do we know this? Because we're working on ourselves. We're not just, complacent. We're not just sitting there going, I know everything, So I think it's a matter of changing the way you think. It really is. It's like you are in the middle of it. You're 2 years into your recovery from abuse. You're in the process. You are healing. You are changing. You are growing. And this is going to be a lifelong thing. And it's going to continue to happen. The second we stop changing and growing and healing, we're done. It's like there's no reason to, because there's always something new to learn. So the healing process is a journey. It is not a destination. So be very patient with yourself, be very gentle with yourself, and don't stop. Just don't stop. Keep going. Keep going. You're on the path, so keep going. I hope that answered the question. Okay. And I'm gonna. Okay, there is a saying, fake it until you make it. If this supposedly works, could narcs, because they fake shit all the time, actually be happy with their lives? What is the nature of happy? So, narcs, how do I explain this? It's self-deception, basically, is what it is. Psychopaths can fake emotions. Psychopaths can fake being a real human being. They can fake empathy. They can fake anything. Narcs absolutely do tell themselves that what they're doing is right, and then they're never wrong, and they absolutely believe it. Do they believe their own lies? Yes, they do. Does that mean they're right? No, it doesn't. So faking it till you make it is different. So let's discuss the difference. Fake it till you make it in AA, okay? When we are addicts, and this goes for targets of abuse as well, when we are addicts and we come out of an abusive relationship, we are as addicted to that abuser as an alcoholic is to rum, okay? So we have been brainwashed by that drug of choice, whether it's the rum or whether it's the abuser, to not feel or to not recognize what we want and what we need. So faking it till we make it means that you start doing the good behavior even though you don't believe that it's going to help in AA. So, it's like just fake it till you make it. It's like keep doing the good behavior. And what it is you're doing a habit. You're becoming a habitually good behavior habit. And it takes 90 days to do that. That's why we always say 90 meetings in 90 days. It's got to become a habit, right? And so faking it till you make it means even though you don't believe it, keep doing the good behavior. And eventually you will start believing that you are a good person, and you will start seeing results, and you will start understanding that you're worthy of sobriety, whether that is from sobriety from an abusive relationship or sobriety from a substance. So fake it till you make it is a conscious decision that even though I don't have trust yet that I can be healthy, I'm going to do all the right steps to get there, even though I don't have complete trust in it. That's fake it till you make it. Now, with abusers, they do believe their lies. Good Lord. They do believe their lies, and that's not faking it till you make it. That's manipulation. There's a difference. So the fake it till you make it is about you. It's internal. It's I'm going to do the next right step. I'm going to do the next right thing. I'm going to do the next right thing, even though I don't have faith or trust that I am going to get better, but I am going to do the next right step. Okay, does that make sense? It's all fake it till you make it is all about you. It's not about other people. With a narcissist or a psychopath, it's all about other people. It's all about manipulation. So they fake emotions in order to get what they want. Okay, so they're manipulating other people. Okay, does that make sense? So that's the difference. Blah, 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 blah. Could they actually be happy with their lives? Well, they believe their lies. They're pathological liars. They are. Psychopaths and narcissists, when they get down to the malignant end of the, well, psychopaths are already at the malignant end of the section, but when narcissists get down to the malignant end of the spectrum, so remember you have, ooh, tiny little screen, you have traits of down here, you have complete dark triad down here. When they're down here, they're pathological liars. If their lips are moving, they're lying. So they believe absolutely what they are saying. And even though I think there is some part of them that knows that they are lying, their ego cannot handle them not being right. So they believe their own lies. So there is that. I hope that answered your question. Are they happy with it? Are narcissists ever happy? No. No, it's always the next thing. Where's the next thing? Where's the next thing? Where's the next thing? I'm not happy. Where's the next thing? It's like healthy, normal people can be happy just being. They can't. They can't. Happiness is beyond their reach. That's why they need their targets of abuse, because they desperately want what somebody who's truly empathic has. And when they realize they'll never get it by osmosis, that's when they start turning around and discarding and devaluing and punishing, because they realize they can't steal it from us. So, no, they're never really happy. I have been having problems sexually with my boyfriend. When he touches my legs close, I scoot away and I'll start shaking uncontrollably. Are these reactions to being molested as a child? It could be. It could be. I don't know. I mean, without you in front of me, I couldn't tell you for sure. Were you molested as a child? I don't know. There's a reason why you're recoiling. So I would strongly suggest getting with a really good trauma therapist and seeing what's there. I can't tell you, hun. If you don't know, I don't know. Does that make sense? So, yeah, journal, write it out. Why are you having these feelings? What's going on? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are the thoughts? What are you telling yourself when he touches you? What's happening? Journal it out, and you probably will discover something about yourself, whether it was you were molested or, maybe there was religious prohibitions against sex in your family. I don't know. I mean, you need to get with a good trauma therapist and figure out what's going on. What do you do when you worry constantly for the safety of your 21-year-old who has sided and lives with their father, who's a dark triad, has bought her over with stuff in the past week or so? I can no longer leave her messages on her phone or text, which I have done for the past few years on and off to show her I haven't given up. Now she's changed her mobile number. She's an adult, and, all you can do is, she may have slammed the door shut. Don't lock it. If you can, let them know that the door is unlocked. And there's really nothing you can do. And you just, if you have contact, then you let her know that you love her and that the door's always open. That's all you can do. With an adult child, they've got to figure it out themselves. And sometimes they side with the abuser, and other times they have an epiphany and wake up and go, oh shit, this is not healthy. And then they'll contact the other parent. But, there's really nothing you can do other than letting them know that the door is not locked. When somebody slams a door in your face, you just kind of got to go, okay, door is shut. Nothing more I can do. Yes, you're going to worry about them. Yes, you're going to hope that they're okay. And it's really just a matter of letting them know that the door is unlocked, and whenever they're ready to walk through it, they can. You don't force the issue, okay? That's all you can do, and that sucks. I'm sorry. So there is that. Okay. What do you think about the rise in Asperger's diagnoses? Are people being misdiagnosed? Are therapists confusing the symptoms of anxiety disorder with those of autism spectrum disorder? I don't know. So I don't see very many Asperger's clients, and Asperger's has now been put on the autism spectrum. So it's not, there's technically no Asperger's diagnosis anymore. It's now on the autism spectrum. I do think that there is a lot of misdiagnoses, going on, because I don't believe that therapists are getting good training, obviously, in diagnosing. And I think that's wrong, and I think they should. And like I said, there's a huge portion of the APA that desperately wants to get rid of any diagnosis, and they don't want to label people. They don't want to hurt people. And I'm like, well, that's bullshit, because whether you call a pink elephant in the corner a pink elephant in the corner, or you call him Harold, it's still a pink elephant in the corner. Do you see where I'm going with that? So I think that my profession as a whole needs to step up to the goddamn plate and do more education on what is and what isn't different diagnoses. And they need to absolutely educate on autism. They need to educate on domestic violence. They need to educate on, the different personality disorders. If they're going to get rid of the personality disorders, which is what they've been trying to do for years, which I am totally opposed to, then they damn well better educate on domestic violence and how to help targets of domestic violence. When I left school, I hadn't clue one how to help somebody in domestic violence. I had to teach myself. And the reason I did is because I see a lot of people in domestic violence situations. So, and I get calls from new counselors all the time. Oh my God, this client is doing this. What do I do? Oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. And then I have to walk them through. Okay, you direct them here, and here's the women's shelter, and here's this, and here's that. I'm happy to do it, but I shouldn't be having to. That should be being taught in school. Does that make sense? So, I don't know. I think it's a lack of education. I really do. I really firmly believe that there's a lot of misdiagnosis, and I do firmly believe that there needs to be better education for these schools that are churning out counselors and they don't know anything. I mean, they'll teach them things like, here's how to bill, insurance, here's how to, they do all of that. They do a very brief education in diagnoses, and then they, turn them loose on the world. And I'm like, that's bullshit. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm assuming it's a lack of education. Is there overdiagnoses of stuff? Yeah, I do. I do think so, because they don't really train the counselors very well. So there it is. Okay, I don't think there's a rise in autism. I don't. So there's that. Can it get confused with other things? Yeah. So, okay. I am constantly second guessing, and it's keeping me in the marriage. How do I get clear on what I should do? All right, you do a pro and a con list, and you get your head and your heart out of it. So the head and the heart will tell stories. The head and the heart are constantly telling stories. So you ask a yes or no question, and the head and the heart will go, well, yes, but, and then blah, 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 big story. Or no, but, blah, 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 big story. The gut is a simple yes or no answer to a question. There is no story with the gut. Oh my God, my glasses are filthy. What the hell? So there is no story with the gut. It is a simple yes or no answer to a question. Should I stay or should I not? Should I stay or should I go? It really is. It's a yes or no. Oh, my phone won't stop buzzing. What the hell? Oh, there they are. Hang on. So you do a pro and a con list, and you write down what are the pros of staying in the relationship on one piece of paper, and doing video. Sorry, this is Chris, my manager. What was I saying? So you do a pro list on one piece of paper, and you write it all out, and you set it aside, and you make sure that your spouse can't find these lists because they'll use them against you. And you set it aside for like a week. And that way you're not counting. Because what we tend to do is when we do a pro and a con list, if you do it on the same page, subconsciously you're going to be going, oh, well, but I got to make it match. And I don't really want this answer, so I need to do, come on. No, a pro and a con list is supposed to give you the answer, whether you want it or not. So you do a pro list on one piece of paper, set it aside. A week later, you come back, you do the con. What are the cons of staying in the marriage? Then you pull out both pieces of paper and you look at them and see which one is longer. And that generally will give you your answer. Plus the fact, listen to your gut. What does your gut tell you? Not your head, not your heart. Should you stay in this marriage? Yes or no? Right now, breathe. What is it? Yes or no? Not story, not yes but, not no but. Yes or no? There you go. Listen to your gut. Your gut will never steer you wrong. Your head will steer you wrong. Your heart will steer you wrong, but your gut never will. So there's that. Can clinical depression improve with medication, or would it just be masking the symptoms? Absolutely, it improves with medication. So let me explain the difference. So clinical, caught in the glasses. Clinical depression. It's like my phones are blowing up. I'm like, stop it, people. It's early in the morning. Clinical depression is different from situational depression. Situational depression is somebody dies. Okay, it's a situation. It's permanent. They're dead, but you're going to feel sad, but you will grieve and you will recover. You will always miss that person unless they're an abuser. And well, in some cases you may still have that love-hate relationship, in which case it's complicated grief, but I can talk about that later. But it's situational. You lose a job. That's depressing. Stuff happens that causes depression, but then you grieve or you work through it and you move on. Clinical depression is like diabetes. Hang with me on this one. So in clinical depression, the brain is unable to produce serotonin, dopamines, norepinephrines, the feel-good chemicals. It's unable to produce the right amount of feel-good chemicals. So the senders and receivers are not functioning in a healthy way. So that's why you have the reuptake inhibitors. So what a reuptake inhibitor does is the senders send, and then the reuptake part of the brain is blocked, so that the brain is now bathed in the feel-good chemicals so that you feel not depressed. That's what a reuptake inhibitor is it keeps the feel-good chemicals in the brain longer. So does medication help with clinical depression? Abso-fucking-lutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. It does not really help with situational depression. So when I see, PCs say to somebody who just lost their spouse, oh, you're depressed, you need an antidepressant. No, fuck you, asshole. They need to grieve. They need to work through it. And if a year from now they're still having problems, then we can talk antidepressant. I get really sick and tired of PCs throwing stuff at people without letting them work through it first. Now, clinical depression, yeah, that absolutely needs medication. That does not get better on its own. It is an inability of the brain to produce the right amount of chemicals, or the brain is picking up too much of the good chemicals. Do you see where I'm going? So there's something wrong with the senders or the receivers, one of the two. So that's what antidepressants are, is that they help keep the good chemicals in the brain. So that is that. So yes, antidepressants actually do work. However, and here is the caveat, you must get with a good doctor or a good psychiatrist and discuss all of the possible side effects, because this is what happens with a lot of the newer drugs, is that yes, they're newer, but sometimes it's the older drugs work better. So, and remember, physicians are being told by the pharmaceutical company, oh no, push this drug. They don't want you to go get the generic drug or the older drug that no longer, gives them as much money. So you really want to talk through with your physician. What are the side effects? Don't just throw this at me. What are the side effects? What do I need to know? Is this going to make me gain weight? Is it going to make me lose my libido? That's huge. Am I going to have suicidal thoughts? In some cases, some depression antidepressants cause suicidal thoughts, especially in teenagers. So you want to talk through all of the side effects. The other thing you want to do too is talk to a naturopath first. See if there is something else going on in your body before you jump to pharmaceuticals. I'm a big believer in naturopaths. I'm a big believer in trying to do things as naturally as possible. However, and caveat, here we go. If you are clinically depressed, then yeah, you need to get onto an antidepressant. Abso-freaking-lutely. If your brain is just not, it's just like the pancreas not producing enough insulin. So you want to make sure that your brain is producing enough feel-good chemicals. So yeah, in that case, you're going to need an antidepressant. Is it a waste of time? No, I don't think so. Should you absolutely do your own research and check out the different types of antidepressants? Abso-freaking-lutely. Should you absolutely grill your physician as to what the side effects are? Abso-freaking-lutely. Should you also pursue naturopathic? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Things that naturally increase our dopamine, serotonins, etc. Exercise. Doing things we love. And that's one thing that happens with clinical depression, is we lose interest in the things we love. So if you have lost interest in the things you love, like let's say that you were crazy about surfing and now you could care less. Holy shit. Yeah, time to get onto an antidepressant. You're unable to get out of bed. You just don't want to get out of bed. You're done. It's like, I just want to stay in bed all day long. I haven't showered in weeks. That's clinical depression. So that absolutely needs an antidepressant. You need to get your life back. But you start doing things you love, and you start exercising, and you start working out, and you start, socializing, and all the things that we don't want to do when we're clinically depressed. So it's a combination. It's like you can't just rely on a pill. Everybody's looking for the magic bullet. It's always a pronged approach. You're always going to have multiple prongs approaching whatever the issue is. So talk to your physician, and yes, antidepressants really do help. Yeah, absolutely. With clinical depression, yes. With situational, no, because it's a situational thing. It's not that your brain isn't producing enough of the feel-good chemicals. You've just gone through a loss. You are grieving. Allow yourself to grieve. Does that make sense? All right, so there that is. Good God, where am I? Clinical depression. Okay. Can CPTSD cause or contribute to eating disorders? I don't think it can cause it. I think with eating disorders, how do I explain? It goes back to the thoughts. What are we telling ourselves about what we're putting into our bodies. What are we telling ourselves about our bodies? What are we telling ourselves what we're worthy of? So oftentimes when somebody has an eating disorder, either bulimia or anorexia, there is this underlying sense of low self-esteem. Like they don't feel they're worthy or deserving of even existing. So, oh, good Lord. Okay. Sorry. You know, when I go on tour, I get all sorts of crazy, things are quiet all week long, and then I go on tour and suddenly my phone starts blowing up. WTF. So there's an underlying sense of low self-esteem or no self-esteem. So with an eating disorder, does CPTSD play into that? Well, chicken egg. So if we've been in an abusive relationship and we have low self-esteem and our abuser is sitting there telling us we're unworthy and how dare you exist, is that going to cause us to, develop an eating disorder? I would say yes. If somebody's sitting there telling you you don't deserve to exist and, you're trying to figure out, this is self-harm. So this kind of goes back to that question about self-harm. So not feeding our bodies is a form of self-harm. Or feeding our body, gorging, and then purging it is also self-harm. So it goes back to self-esteem. It goes back to self-esteem and putting the harm, who's really responsible for this, back onto them. It's like, you didn't deserve to be abused. You did not deserve to be told you were, too fat or too thin or too ugly or too this or too. Abusers live in a circle of too much, not enough, too much, not enough. So they'll tell you you're too much, you're too sensitive, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too thin, you're too blah, blah, blah. And then they'll go, well, you're not enough this and you're not enough that and you're not enough. And it's this crazy land of trying to live between these two extremes. And that's exactly where they want the target of abuse, is constantly unbalanced and unable to please them. Because a normal person can be pleased. A normal person can just be thrilled in the moment, but narcissists never are. It's always too much or not enough, too much or not enough. That's what they do. So eating disorders, chicken egg, if there's low self-esteem to begin with, and then we get into an abusive relationship and that abuser is saying horrible things about our body, horrible things about what we eat, or how we eat or whatever, yeah, we can absolutely get eating disorders, because it's a self-harming way of dealing with stress. It's a self-harming way of dealing with anxiety. It's a self-harming way of dealing with the thoughts. So it would be a really, really good idea to get with a good therapist that understands eating disorders and understands CPTSD trauma, and working on the self-esteem. So again, the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, that's an excellent book. Read it. You're worthy of feeding yourself. You're worthy of nourishment. You are worthy to eat. You are worthy to exist. You don't have to purge. So doing the Self-Esteem Workbook, working with a therapist, and then doing positive affirmations in the mirror is really going to be helpful. Unfortunately, a lot of people with eating disorders have a very difficult time looking in the mirror. If you can't look in the mirror, write it out. I am worthy to exist. I am worthy to eat. I am worthy to fill in the blank. So work on the self-esteem. And yes, is it connected? Yeah, I think so, because it's all self-esteem. It's all low self-esteem. And then if we have an abuser giving us the message that we shouldn't exist, yeah. So yeah, I hope that answered the question. I feel like being a kid of abusive parents has become the focus of my identity and something excessive. I need to let it go. Any suggestions on why and what to do? So this is where a lot of survivors of abuse get stuck. It's their identity has suddenly become, oh, I'm a victim. No, you're not. Were you targeted for abuse? Yes. And then what needs to happen is you let that identity go. It's like, yeah, it happened, but you don't live there. You don't unpack your bags there, okay? And this is what happens to a lot of abuse survivors, is that they unpack their bags in, I'm a victim. And it's like, okay, you were victimized. Absolutely. You were targeted. Absolutely. Now what? You get to decide who you are the rest of your life. With the abusers out of your life, you get to make the decisions. They don't. You get to re-raise yourself. You get to be da mama or da papa or da both. You get to decide what you're going to do with the rest of your life. And it's giving our power away. So part of it is that we were trained to give our power away by our abusers, whether it was parental units or a romantic partner or an abusive boss or abusive friends or whatever. So we were trained to give our power away. And so we have to take our power back. You have the power. It's kind of like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz when Glinda the Good Witch comes and says, why, Dorothy, you could have done this the whole time. In which case I probably would have throat punched her. But, you know, you have the power. You do. You have the power to run your life the way you want. Did our parents do stupid things? Fuck yeah. Do I like my dad? Nope. Do I ever want to see him in this or any other lifetime? No, not really. You know, but am I going to allow my dad and to some extent my mom to control what I do in the here and now? Fuck no. I'm not handing my power over to those fuckers. You know, that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. So you get to make your own decisions in life. You get to be who you want to be. So the focus of your identity should now be, who are you? What do you want? What is your goal? What do you want to do with the time allotted here on this planet? What do you want to do? So for me, I love to travel. So obviously, hello, I'm in a hotel room in Irvine. So, you know, I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And I want to help as many people as I possibly can. It's like, I'm going to take a really shitty situation. If you've read my book, do I have my book on me? No, of course not. It's in the car. But if you've read my book, What's Wrong with Your Dad? It's like, I'm going to take a really shitty situation and I'm going to use it for good. That's what I do. That's what I decided. I am no longer going to give power to an abuser, whether they're dead or alive, whether they're here or not, whether they were parents or a romantic partner, a friend or a boss. I am not giving my power to anybody except me. So you alone choose what you want to do with your life. Were you victimized? Yep. Was I victimized? Yep. Was it fun? No. Am I going to do it again? Probably not. You know, you get to decide what your identity is. So don't unpack your bags in victimhood. Don't do it. You're handing your power away. You're now victimizing yourself. So it's almost as if you have internalized the abusers and you are now victimizing yourself. So what you have to do is let them go. So how do you do that? Well, a part of it is acceptance therapy. There is a thing called ACT, acceptance therapy. Can't remember what the C stands for. The T stands for therapy, but it's acceptance therapy. It's like you accept what has happened. It has happened. Yes, it is a fact. It is also history. So yesterday, you know, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. All you got is the here and now. That's an AA saying. So you don't unpack in the past. You don't unpack in the future. It hasn't happened yet. You unpack in the here and now. So what are you doing now? What do you want to do now? You know, this is what I always ask my clients. It's like, what do you want to do? How are you going to live your life? What do you want? What makes you happy? What gives you joy? What floats your boat? What makes you want to get up in the morning? For me, it's being with people. It's helping people. It's, you know, seeing people grow and seeing people survive and thrive. That brings me great joy. It really does. And traveling. I love to oh my God, it's raining again. Holy crap, I have to drive in that. So yeah, so that's, you know, what do you like to do? Who are you? Separate from these abusers. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Do it, you know? So don't unpack in the past, don't unpack in the future, unpack in the here and now. What brings you joy? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And don't get stuck in the anger and all of that. So part of the reason why I wrote What's Wrong with Your Dad is because I wanted to get out everything that happened to me and let it go, and also help other people, to let them know they're not alone. That was the big thing that came out of San Diego yesterday, is that everybody was like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one. And I was like, no, look around. Look around. You're not the only one. This has happened to other people. You're not alone in this. And that's why I wrote the book. And it was also very freeing. It's like I wrote that book and I dropped 35 pounds right off the bat because I let shit go. So letting go of stuff means, and this is cognitive behavioral therapy, you get it out of your head. You get it onto paper. You either type it out or you write it out and burn it. Or, if you feel that you are able to help other people, publish. Do it. Help other people. Let them know they're not alone. You get it out of your head. You get it onto paper. You let it go. So for me, the letting go part was publishing it. It's like, okay, I have now released it into the wild. Let's see if it survives. So, and for other people, it's getting it out of their head, getting it onto paper, either typing it or writing it, and then burning it. Or another thing you can do is you write letters to your abusers, but do not send them to the abusers. What you do is you write it to the abusers, you do a self-addressed stamped envelope, you send it to yourself so you get the sensation of having mailed it, and when it comes back to you, you burn it. You don't read it, you just burn it. Let it go. Let the smoke deliver the words wherever they need to go. So writing and burning, or writing and publishing, depending on what you want to do. Some people are excited about publishing and other people are like, oh, hell no, I do not want to publish. I do not want anybody to, know who I am. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody is an extrovert. So, but if you feel like you could and do want to publish, I encourage you, publish. Write your story. Publish it. There needs to be more books and more talk about abuse because it has been such a taboo subject for so very long that people are having a hard time wrapping their head around it or recognizing abuse when it's right there in front of them. So it's important. Tell your story. Or if you're not comfortable telling your story to strangers, then write it and burn it. Write it and burn it. And that gets the brain in the mode of letting it go because our brains are very simple. The amygdala, you remember the amygdala? Left side, right side. The amygdala is stupid. It cannot tell the difference between doing something really or writing it down. Because to the amygdala, it feels like writing it down is doing something. So your brain is able to let go of stuff if we've written it down and then we burnt it. Because then it goes, oh, I did something. Oh, it's been sent. Oh, okay. So, so there is that. So, all right. I hope that answered the question. You don't unpack in the past. And you kind of have to go, okay, now what? All right, yeah, that happened. What's the next right step? How do I live my life to the fullest? Because remember, the best revenge is to live well. Abusers don't want us to live well. They don't want us to have fun. They don't want us to find ourselves. They don't want us to travel. They don't want us to see the world. They don't want us to meet other people. They don't want us to, they don't want us to live, basically. They want us dead. So the best revenge is to fucking let those assholes go. Let them go. Part of the reason why we unpack in the past, especially with parental units, is that anger is a way to keep that person connected to us. If we're constantly raging at somebody who's no longer there, whether they're dead or not, it is a way to keep them connected to us. So it's the fear of being alone. So if you are stuck in the past abuse, it's because you have some fear about breaking that connection completely. So let go of the anger. So some good books on that are Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach, Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping. Great book. Radical Forgiveness has helped so many of my clients because a lot of clients get stuck in that anger and they get stuck in that I'm going to punish you. But in fact, when the abuser's away from us and we're hanging on to that resentment, it's like picking up two hot coals intending to throw it at them, but the only person that gets burnt is you. So let it the fuck go. Seriously. Write it out. Let it go. Let it go. So read those two books, Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach, Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping. So there is that. I think that was the last question. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Well, I'm done. So, so I'm not sure that I'm going to be doing a live show next weekend. We're going to have to see, because I'm still on the road. So anyway, that is that. If you have questions, you can always, I am me on Facebook and leave a question there and I'll try to answer it in a Q&A session. On the 17th, I am going to have Susanna Quintana back on the show. She has just written her book. Yay! So I want to promote her book because she's an awesome woman and she has an amazing story to tell. Again, tell your story. Tell your story. guys are not alone. Tell your story. So Susanna Quintana will be on the 17th, and we'll be discussing her book and her experiences and what she's doing to move forward. And she is, and it's beautiful to watch. I love watching her posts because then she's like, I've seen her grow over the years, which is awesome. So there is that. Other than that, I will be in Santa Monica tomorrow. And we're keeping a watch on the weather because apparently there's mudslides in Santa Barbara, so I'm not sure that tour is going to happen there. We'll have to see how things go. So, excuse me. Anyway, that's it. Have a great week, you guys. And if I am still on the road, I will post another one of these Q&A videos because I get a ton of questions. So anyway, on the 17th, Susanna Quintana. All right, you guys be good, and I will talk to you later. Bye.